These are videos made to look like Alan Becker made them, from my understanding. But they're, they're fan creations, so they're going to be a little different. But I wanted to look at them and judge them and tell them to quit animation. So let's get into it. Oh yeah. No, these have a lot of work into them. They have a little disclaimer apparently. This video is made for entertainment purposes only. It's a fan-made project created by fans. It's based on the AVA series, which is originally okay. Yeah, I know that. It's made by QZ. I feel like that was very snappy for this guy. I gotta be careful to call him by their community given names. But I think you guys call this guy Agent. That's pretty snappy for him. Pretty out of character. But it's a fan-made project. I'm gonna get nitpicky like that. I'll try to point out the accuracies and inaccuracies. The backgrounds so far are good. I don't know if the backgrounds are... they might be spliced together. Because I look to this far end and it looks a little low quality, but I look over here and it looks fine. So it's telling me it might be spliced. Some of them might be custom made. I don't know who did he credit who did the. There are background artists. Oh, okay, I'm familiar with the Deserved one, and I know they can do some pretty good backgrounds. So there's probably some fully original backgrounds in here, but I also wouldn't be surprised if there's some splicing. So yeah, so he's missing his thing here. I will say on first viewing when I was watching this, it was not very clear that he was missing his band thing with all the UI design stuff. Because remember, he left it. I mean, you'll see it, but this is supposed to take place after Hacker. Yeah, it's supposed to take place after Hacker. So Agent would have left his band thing on the table to display the fake box of text that Alan would be tricked on anyway. Good way of doing a flashback. Basic, tells you what it is, but the main thing that gets me off is just his he doesn't move like he should, you know. But it's okay. Big, I don't pay this guy. They don't work with us yet. And is this music custom made too? Because that's timed really well. Yeah, I believe so. They got a custom score. I'd say color choice for the background, maybe a bit dark. You could also probably adjust this guy's color a little bit to be closer to black, but not quite. So that way his silhouette is a lot more clear. Because if I were to make this really small, or if someone was watching this on another device, he kind of blends in with the background a bit there, if you see. So, a little bit of a clarity issue. Ultimately, you could still read it, but if I was on a different device, I potentially could have trouble reading it because the color looks very similar to the general color tone of the entire scene. So. Coming up. Crazy consistency. Okay, also that could be any one of them. Let's be real. Maybe you could have involved color there. because that could be any of the. Are there 4 of them? Yeah, there's 4 of them. Hatena, I don't like you. I don't like myself either. That was cute. I know all these are artistic direction, but like I just want to analyze it from a perspective of like how different it would be from Alan. So just because I might have a critique in style doesn't mean it's wrong. But I'm pointing it out since, you know, I work with the guy. That's cute. So this is interesting. Look at what the Dark Lord does. How does he fly? How's he flying there? Can he just fly like that? I don't think he can fly like that. I think they either forgot to animate the fire, or they just thought he could fly like that now. He can. He can also poop and pee like that. No, you're right. My bad. Very jarring. It looks cool. Very jarring, and for what the scene is, I don't know if 3D was necessary, but it's cool. It looks cool. I think the 3D is a bit much here. I think I think 3D in this sense could be used more to make the viewer feel like there's a lot more energy than is going on in here, because this feels more like a break between what we were just watching. I guess, yeah, he is running, but it feels a little too extra. But hey, there we go. There are no shadows on the ground, so they aren't as grounded as they could be. I'd say that's a fair critique. But like, as for the 3D background, that's a stylistic preference. They definitely did that. And there's a shadow. The shadows are also different from how we usually do them. We take the cheap option and we just have like a gradient circle under them. Unless they're in Minecraft, in which it's just a solid circle under them, and that's good enough. I also really enjoy the touch that they drew on how they drew the flower. I'm pretty sure there's a couple that we did like that in the hacker episode, where it's like, it feels like the pots were made with real material from the world, but then because they're in an environment in which Victim found or he brought into the world those tools like the pen, fill, stuff like that. It's nice. I think we've done that a couple times in the last few episodes. So it's just a nice little detail. Fucking killed the guy. No one's surviving that. You see how fast that door was kicked in? Jesus Christ. And within a frame, bro. He's dead. He's dead. You recycled animation, didn't you? Not that that's a bad thing. It is an efficient thing to do. Also, where are they? Because it looks and feels like they should be in the vents, but they're not because they're clearly on the ground. Where are they? Yeah, I'm very confused to where they are. Well, no, they can't be in the vents. Because those are massive vents if that's the case. For real. But, like, I want to look at this animation because I think they just... Yeah, they recycled that. And they just recolored it. And that's not like we do that sometimes, but usually for like generic walk or run cycles, like side scroll, like flat 2D plan. I don't know what's the perspective. Orthographic run cycles. Usually not on perspective stuff like this. It's much more noticeable if you recycle stuff, and oftentimes, even for run and walk cycles, we'll just reanimate it anyway because they're stick figures, and that's one of the most basic animations you can make, so it's pretty easy for most animators. So, you know, if I were to be really picky, which, hey, I am, I'd say they could have reanimated that to give Blue a little bit more of his own personality, because you're giving him a whole extra layer of depth that you could use. Like, even the smallest change in his body movement could convey a completely different energy for that character. But it's just, you just copy and pasted it, which is not right. It's just lazy. Yeah. That was fun though. I enjoyed that. The cloth movements are all so loud, by the way. They do not need to be that loud. I would argue you really don't need that many for stick figures if you're getting as close to Alan style. Of course, that could be a different stylistic preference, but they feel very loud. He's definitely getting paid after this. I'm not, actually. I'm off the clock, bro. Oh, this is... Wait, why is there death? Oh, I get it. And we get 3D again. I can tell they really just wanted to have fun with 3D, but I feel like in most of these shots, the 3D is very unnecessary. I'm confused as to why they use 3D for some of these scenes. Yeah, 100%. You need, okay. At least when okay, something that I was taught in film study in college is that every shot has a purpose. Every reason why it was framed has a reason. How it was shot has a reason. The shot composition is one of the most important things to tell your story. But every shot has to have a reason. I don't know if you could explain why they chose 3D for some of these shots other than it was cool, it was fun to do, which is valid, but to the average viewer, it might feel a little off. And that's what's going to make it feel like a fan-made project. So, again, not wrong, just different, but I don't know if it's different in a good way. Because like it is jarring. The fun is here for real. Also, very out of character for this stick figure. I don't know if they'd be this motivated to trap these stick figures. I think they would more so wait for direction to do so. Like maybe Agent would be the one like rushing. Okay, how I would picture it going is Agent would like rush in. This gray stick would just be like, I don't know. They just showed up. What do I do? And then Agent would tell him to do something. The worker stick figure would be like, he'd be like choking, and then Agent would have to run in and then close it for them. A little out of character, but he's a background character, but I know more about them than you. Also love the overuse of smears. That's the only thing I like, because I love smears. Very dramatic for this guy. Hang on, I gotta make it a little quieter. Sorry. Maybe not that quiet. There we go. There's a lot of information to go over here. I'll let it play through real quick. So you are given a considerable amount of time to take it all in, but I feel like there's just a lot. There might have been a more efficient way to do that. It was too much for me to take in. Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of text. So that's one thing that Alan really tries to stay away from. And he does it very occasionally in the AVA series especially. But he tries not to include text as much as possible. Because then it's more universally understood. That's more of a language thing, but I also think that it's a great practice to help you learn how to make concepts extremely clear visually when you're not relying on language. If you're relying on body language, that's something that everyone understands. If you're relying on text language, then you're limiting the number of people who can understand what's going on. So say like I didn't speak English, maybe I'm in Japan and I speak Japanese. I'm not going to be able to know what exactly I'm going to have to. I don't have the text to go off of. I have only the drawings to go off of. So, but like you're not even letting us focus on all of that. You're focused on the text. So, that's more of a demographic kind of thing. But that is something that Alan keeps in mind for his videos. But as for how clear it is, including the text, I'd still say it's a bit complicated because you're introduced. Say that you're being dropped into this video, like this is the first video that you're watching. Let's say, for sake of argument, this is an official Alan Becker video, and this is the first one that they're watching because that happens a lot, where someone will join in the middle of a season or a series, and then that's going to be their introduction. And you're gonna have to hope that it's good enough to compel them to continue returning and go back and watch all the other episodes. You're already expecting them to understand a lot of the story up to this point, which they're not gonna know. So flashbacks would be very useful here to convey what you're trying to tell. Don't trust. I mean that's pretty clear. But, like, I don't think... We haven't seen Orange yet, so a lot of new viewers are going to be like, who's Orange? What? Obviously, this is a fan-made creation, so that's, of course, picky. This is made for that audience anyway. So they're going to have a lot easier time understanding this. But it is still quite a bit of information. I get it. Yes. Oh, this seat's dark. Also, this entire thing is in 3D. Which is just such a strange choice. It's just... It's... There's an established style, and then it so directly goes against that style. And the only reason I could think that they did that is to split up work between animators and to let more people work on the project. But this other person is just much more comfortable with 3D. So... Again, it's a stylistic thing. But it is jarring. It is a lot of 3D in this scene. I don't know if that's 3D. That might be 2D. Pretty sure this is 2D. But then, like, oftentimes when you flip back to Agent and the Worker, they're animated fully in 3D. Okay, this is 3D for sure. Again, the text thing, but you know, I'm not going to repeat myself. That shot drags on for a bit. That's the first time that we see Orange. I wish you could hear the sound in this. Yeah, the music is really loud. For sure. Yeah, you guys are hearing it fine on your end. Like the whole video, you're hearing it fine? Like, do I need to change my audio at all? Okay. Cool. But yeah, music is very loud. Great point. Also, that's interesting. How much red do you need? What is creating that glow? Because surely that full red bar is not creating enough of it. Obviously, you're trying to tell us that this is evil intent, which I really don't think Agent would be doing. It is just for dramatic effect, but it brings into question the realism. Like, how is this happening? Where is this coming from? I feel like that arc needs to be much larger. Because, like, it feels like the feeling that you're trying to get is like, but what it feels like we're getting is, like you need a larger arc, and then You need to skip a lot of space by the time that you hit that screen. Because it feels more like they're like, not like, let me out. You know? Oh shit. I gotta be careful. I thought I just split my cut open again. I think I'm okay. I'm getting too into it. Ooh, I saw quite a lot of behind the scenes before this came out and still can't wrap my head around half the choices. And I was in VC for hours critiquing the fan episode with people who worked on it. Especially with SkittleQ, who helped with the 3D stuff. Yeah, again, I don't want to say that this is all bad, but I'm questioning things that I think an average viewer would question. The purpose of some of these shots, the confusion that might come from it. But I think overall, it's a good project. I'll give more closing thoughts later, but I just want to make sure. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm offering critiques so that hopefully they can improve in their own future projects where they're not relying on a community that already knows all of this information. So I just wanted a really good pacing there. Nothing bad about that. It was just good pacing. It's a great product. It just feels out of character. 100% agree. Yeah, you don't really understand the motives of, I'd say most importantly, Agent. Agent is the one. Well, also the worker. The worker and Agent. You don't understand their motives. Why they're trying to make them bleed. Why that's necessary at all. Because, I mean, I guess you could make the argument last time the Agent saw those other stick figures, it was just so that he could get Yellow away from the rest of them so that they could see his memories. But we don't understand why he wants to cause torture to the color gang. That's up in the air. So that's why it feels very out of character. There's no reason. There's no motive presented. So it makes them feel more evil than they should. It's needless violence at that point, which is just going to be inherently evil. And there's almost no redemption for that unless you try to justify it beforehand. So. An interesting representation of how they think he would get his powers. That's cute. Also cute. I don't think this would happen. I don't think he could do this. This is interesting. It's a neat callback, yeah. I'm not going to read too much into it. It's cute. Would it actually happen? Probably not, but I don't write these. It'd be up to Alan and Skip. Really fun animation there, but unfortunately that's where it ends. Cliffhanger! Which, might I add, is also just the most disappointing thing about this project, because that's something that everyone would be so pissed about you leaving it there. Like like you know how Goose works in the Amazing Digital Circus will often leave you with a huge piece of information, and then it'll just be it's that, but this is more insulting because we clearly get to see what we've been building up to for a while, which is Orange using his powers again. That's one of the things that Alan and Skim have been building up to. I still don't even know how they're going to do it, honestly. I haven't gotten that far. But obviously they're building up to it because they've addressed it many times before. And then it just ends. Once we see him finally get some control of those powers, it just ends, and it's really disappointing. And I get they didn't have to, but it's just, you leave us wanting more. Like that. This whole thing feels like it was leading up to a climax, and then you end it before the climax. So yeah. But hang on, I do want to talk about the credits. The credits are really cool. How they did this, I do like this. It's really neat. A lot of people are doing Polaroids. They have this stick figure interacting with the credits, fully animated, really cool. And that alone kept me watching through the entire credit sequence. Special thanks to. This is a weird thing that I found from the credits. Usually you save special thanks to people who weren't directly involved in production. If they were, it was very lightly. But the first thing you have is project lead, which is also just the guy who made it. So you might as well say director. Why not just, why is this a special thanks? This feels like it should just be a part of the actual credits. Special thanks to me, guys. Special thanks to me, oh my. It's silly. It's silly. Thumbnail, also not really a special thanks. I don't think they had an actual special thanks. It was just people who actually worked on it. Like, you could just credit these people. They don't even, I don't know. Alan Becker hates fan project, man. I don't know what Alan thinks of this. I don't know if he knows this exists, but I want to be clear. I don't hate the project. I think this is really cool. It's really fun. Way longer and higher quality than I was expecting when I first heard about this project. So overall, I think the few people that were involved in this did a really good job. Again, I'm just coming from it from a perspective of like, is it lore accurate? And does it make sense to a wider, more general audience? But this project probably was not made for a wider general audience. This was probably made just for the Alan Becker fan base and people who are more much more invested in Alan's stuff than the average person. So this isn't going to get like as many views. It already does have a lot. Okay, I'm wrong. What the fuck? 700,000, almost 800,000 views? When did that happen? Wow. Okay, I didn't realize. It's Alan Becker in the thumbnail title of the video. I wonder how many people saw this and thought this was a part of the actual series despite fan made being in the title. I'm curious about that. I don't think it's it could be a potential issue, but I don't think it's a huge issue. That is wild though. 700,000 views already. And this was released 2 days ago. I saw it was fan made, so that's why I didn't see it before now. Yeah. I mean, I didn't feel any urgency. I was invited to watch the premiere, but it would have been like 6 a.m. my time, and I'm not for that. The only reason I stay for like the Alan Becker premieres sometimes is because I usually end up working all night on the episode to help get it released in time. So then I just stay up until our little watch party in the members server anyway. So, I mean, yeah, Alan Becker's videos are very popular. I find that very interesting. He is more talked about recently, but in general, Alan's videos are not as talked about. They're heavily viewed, and I'm sure that I know that there's a very strong core fan base to his videos, but this shocks me because of like how much people don't actually talk about his videos publicly. It to me it feels more like a guilty pleasure for most people. But man, no, good job. Congrats. I'm glad that they're getting a lot of attention from this, and their project is being seen by so many people. It's really cool. So, this is 17 cease and desists waiting QC in the mailbox. I know Alan has a different opinion on how people use his character. I think it's changed a little bit, actually. We were talking today a little bit about people using his IP for video games, but can't really talk a whole lot about that. But like, you know, there was one thing that I was reached out to for. I think it was, hang on, what was it? I joined their server. Let me see. I think, is it going to be down here? Where did I put this server? I don't know where the server went, but I joined a server where they were working on this big Roblox game block something. I don't know. But they had reached out for permission to use Alan's property. And we said yes. And they were very excited. And then they started announcing it. And then since then, a lot of people have been coming to my DMs to ask if they could also use Alan's IP. Blockbound, that's it. Thank you. Yep, that's the one. No one cares. Well, then stop fucking watching. Get out of here. I don't care. I'm talking about whatever I want to talk about. All right. But yeah, that was that one. It was good. Some questionable shots and how they were, why they chose to execute some of the shots the way they did. A lot of unnecessary 3D, in my opinion. A lot of personal gripes, but ultimately it just comes down to stylistic preference, which, you know, could be different from what Alan wants, of course. You know, this is not Alan's project, so it's not always going to be like what Alan does, and that's, you know, that's cool. I support his project. I think it was cool. And then there was another one that released that, in all honesty, I kind of skipped through. So I'm not going to skip through it this time. I'm going to watch it in its entirety. This one's made by Patu. 38,000 views. Hey, there's QZ again. Yeah, let's take a look. But it starts like this. Wait, what was that frame rate at? What's happening in this shot? Way too much camera movement. So they're reanimating. Has a rough background. They are reanimating bits from the showdown. And they're adding some bits in as well. So it's like their own rendition. That shot was so tight. A little difficult to tell what was going on there. You didn't really leave us a whole lot of room for clarity. Like, if you slow it down and you go like pause by pause, you can tell what's happening. But on first viewing, that's a little rough. Very tight frame. It does not need to be this tight. Why is it this tight? It's so tight. Shot composition on this one ain't too good. Yeah, unfortunately not. Just back up the camera so we get a much more clear picture of what's happening. Because it's like you're sitting like right up next to the TV as a little kid because you're so into it and you've already seen it 50 times. But for most people, this is going to be their first time seeing it. And they're not sitting right up to the TV. So just give us a little more breathing room. Allow us the amount of framing to show us what you need to show us. I love this shot so much. Oh, this shot's so funny. Why does he move like that? I get the idea is that he's supposed to be like coming in, click, and then fling it up. But to me, it looks like he's bashing his fucking head into the wall. Oh man, it's just a little funny. Their movement is pretty good though. I'll give them that. It's just their shot composition is not doing them a lot of favors. Wait. Was there a missing frame? Oh, also there's a line through that bug there. I'm dissecting this dude. Oh, yeah. What happened there? Oh, he's just missing for the shot. Just transition to shots between there. Yeah. There we go. They were just reanimating it. Wait, did they just grab that asset, the fire asset? Oh, 100% they did. Yeah, they just grabbed that asset. Wait, what program did they use this? Did they use this in? Because some shots it looks almost like flip a clip, but in some shots it's like it could be done in Animate. Parallax on that shot was real weird. Like, is the camera moving right here? Why do they slide like that? Because the background doesn't move at all. Also, what is going on? How did they composite that? How did they put this together? A little messy. Shots took forever. Why are they so? Why do they look? They look like eggplants. You do you, man. They were pregnant. There's also a missing frame there. Unless that was as two blank frames. And there again. Why was that shot like that? Strange. Why did that happen? that shot went on a little long. Also felt needlessly 3D. The backdrop of this shot does not move at all, but the floor moves a lot. So there's a disconnect in parallax. Like, it doesn't move at all. It's just plastered on it. Whoa. Missing a sound, bro. That was a huge move. Stopping him. It's Alan Becker. It's cute. It's cute. That felt traced. This shot especially felt a little traced. You know, the shot that I'm talking about from the original. I hope not. I imagine this dude's also pretty young. 1 year of progress. Very proud of the result. I mean, for what it is, it's a really good. It's a really good job. Again, I only point out the flaws that I can, you know, hopefully provide some ground of critique for them to pay attention to in their next project. But that one concerns me a little bit. Felt maybe a little too one-to-one with one of the shots that I saw in Showdown. Also, this music is really silly. This is like Mario Party music. They're not synced with the background on that shot, too. Wait, is Alan now powerful? Wait. Oh. I guess Alan knows how to code now. I guess hence coder. not gonna lie, I feel a little bored. Is that just me? This feels like it's dragging on a little bit. Fuck you. It's okay, maybe it's not. Maybe it is just me. It feels like it's dragging on a little bit. That one was traced, wasn't it? Trying to remember where that was from. Was that Wanted? Fuck you, man. Chat really hates me. Dang. Wait. I just. That. I don't think it was traced. It might have been heavily referenced though, from another shot. Wait, let me try and find it. Alan Becker. I think. Wasn't that over here? No. After that. Where's that shot from? No, because it wasn't there. I know I've seen it. It's Victim? Oh, it is Victim. Now I know. Wait. You're right. You guys know this better than I do. Right, wasn't it when he got ejected out of the rocket ship? Yep, there it is. That's the shot. Disappointing. Just do your own animation. So, not bad. Not bad. I think their movement is pretty good. Their shot composition definitely needs the most work, and they were really struggling with how to move the backgrounds. I think, though, overall, this was really good. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Good job. Good job. All right, that's it.